Have you ever wondered why we spend our lives avoiding discomfort, but the moments that break us are the ones that make us stronger? Maybe you're hearing these words right now, sitting alone in your car after a long, draining day, or at 2 a.m., eyes wide open, trying to piece together why things are slipping away so quickly. Or maybe you're just tired of wearing the "I'm fine" mask every day, when all you really want to do is take a deep breath. If you find yourself there, stay with me for a minute. I'm not asking you to be falsely positive. I'm just inviting you to look at things from a different perspective, a Stoic perspective. The ancients taught, pain is not the enemy, it is a strict but fair teacher. We often want to run away from this class, but life's test always finds us on time. Imagine this. You get into your car after a day of dry hum. The air conditioner hums, the streetlights streak across the windshield like streaks of memory. You feel empty. In that moment, you would normally ask, why me? But a Stoic, like Marcus Aurelius, would change that question to, what does this require of me to grow? It may seem small, but changing the question changes the direction of your life. Why me locks you into the role of victim. What do I need to learn puts you in the role of student, active, conscious, with choices. Here's a personal story I want to share. There was a time when I was so afraid of failure that I avoided every challenge. But the more I avoided it, the more my anxiety grew. Until one night, at 2 a.m., I wrote down 3 lines. Where do I hurt? What's the lesson? What's the smallest step I can take right now? Just 3 sentences, but the next morning, instead of trying to pretend to be okay, I called a trusted friend and told the truth. I'm not okay. No magic, no miracle, just the first honest step. And from there, small steps piled up. Asking for clear feedback from my boss instead of second-guessing. Setting a sleep schedule instead of staying up late on the phone. Doing 2-minute breathing exercises before stressful meetings. The pain didn't go away right away, but it began to teach me instead of scare me. The Stoics didn't deny their emotions. They looked at them, named them, and then decided to act in a way that was consistent with their values. As Epictetus said, we don't control events, but we do choose our reactions. So if you're having trouble sleeping tonight, try this little ritual. 1. Place your hands on your chest, breathe 4-4-6, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. 2. Write down one thing that's hurting you, one thing that's within your control, and one super small step you can take tomorrow, just 5 to 10 minutes. 3. Ask yourself, if this pain were a teacher, what is today's lesson? We, Vietnamese living abroad or even in America, all understand the feeling of being alone in the storm. But it is also there that we develop a very durable mental muscle. Discipline, perseverance, and self-respect. No one likes pain, but if you have to go through it, let it be meaningful. Let each stumble be a sharpening. Let the "I'm fine" mask be put down so that your true face, even if tired, is a face that is growing. If these words strike you, don't just brush them aside. Gently ask yourself, what small act of bravery will I do in the next 24 hours? It doesn't have to be big, just real. Because sometimes the door to a stronger version of ourselves lies in a very small decision. At 2 a.m., when we choose to learn a lesson instead of continuing to run away. And who knows, tomorrow you might look back and smile. It turns out the harshest teacher, pain, is the one who gave us the diploma of our own life. Part 1. Hidden treasures on the worst day. Some days start out like any other. We wake up, have a cup of coffee, get ready for work, and assume everything will go as planned. But by the end of the day, we realize that everything we believed in has been shattered. One phone call, one conversation, one unexpected event can turn our entire lives upside down. We call it the worst day ever. I remember being in that exact moment. Sitting in the car, night falling, tears streaming down uncontrollably. Not the gentle crying in the movies, but a sob that tightens your chest, making you feel like you're breaking into pieces. At that moment, the only question that came to mind was, why is this happening to me? But then I remembered the teaching of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. This quote does not come from a man sitting comfortably in a palace, but from a philosopher who had been enslaved, who had been tortured, who had lost everything. Yet he found in his suffering a truth. It is our reactions that determine who we are. The worst day doesn't come to destroy you, It comes to strip away all your illusions and force you to see your true strength. When all your support falls away, you discover that you are not as weak as you thought. You can still stand up, you can still learn to walk on shaky legs, and you can still rewrite your story. Think about the people you admire most: a teacher, a leader, an artist, or even a loved one who inspired you. What do they have in common? They all had one or more worst days, and those days shaped them. No one becomes strong in comfort. Strength comes from being tested to the limit. For example, someone loses a job they have worked for decades. That day can be a crushing blow that knocks them down. But if they choose to look back, learn, and get back up, that failure opens the door to a new career, a path they would have never dared to take before. Or someone loses a relationship they thought was irreplaceable. It's painful, heartbreaking, but over time they become more compassionate, loving, and appreciative than anyone else. So when you find yourself having your worst day, don't just ask, "Why me?" Instead, try asking, "What is this day trying to teach me?" When we change the question, everything changes. We are no longer victims. We become students. And that bad day, instead of being the end, becomes the door to a new chapter, one in which you become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Remember, the treasures hidden in dark days don't appear immediately. At first, they may seem like a gift wrapped in sadness, waiting to be patiently unwrapped. But when you have the courage to look deeper, you'll see. Within lies strength, compassion, and growth, priceless gifts that no normal day can provide. Part 2. The power hidden in sensitivity. Perhaps in your life, someone has told you, you are too sensitive, too weak, too emotional. Hearing it over and over again, we start to believe that sensitivity is a flaw that needs to be hidden. We learn to hold back our tears, pretend to be indifferent, try to be strong like an emotionless wall. But boss, the truth is quite the opposite. It is sensitivity that is the silent source of strength that helps us connect deeply with this world. The Stoics were not cold statues. Seneca, one of the great Roman philosophers, wrote intimate letters filled with the pain of loss and the longing for love. 2,000 years later, they still bring tears to the eyes. If the Stoics were emotionless, would we still be moved by their words? No, they were sensitive. They were thoughtful. They just didn't let their emotions drown out their reason. Take a look at yourself. Have you ever walked into a room and sensed the heavy atmosphere before anyone spoke? Have you ever sat in front of a sunset, your heart so moved that you couldn't speak? Have you ever felt someone else's pain as if it were your own? That's not weakness. That's sensitivity, a subtle sense that not everyone has. In a world that is so fast-paced, so full of screens and noise, we need people who dare to feel deeply. They are the ones who notice the forced smile, the hidden sigh, the trembling hand asking for help. They are the ones who are sensitive enough to listen, compassionate enough to support, and brave enough to admit, "I feel the same way about you." Sensitivity is a great gift for love, creativity, and resilience. A musician writes a song that touches millions of hearts because he dares to feel more deeply than others. A mother stays up all night worrying about her sick child. That is love awakened by sensitivity. A leader sees injustice in society and acts to change it, because their heart refuses to stand still in the face of suffering. Some people fear that emotions will knock us down, but the truth is, it is by feeling deeply that we learn to stand up strong. Tears do not weaken us, but wash away the thick layer of dust to reveal the steadfastness within. Pain does not break us, but sharpens us into compassionate people. So instead of apologizing for feeling too much, be proud that you have a whole heart. Instead of hiding your tears, let them remind you that you are still alive, still in love, still hopeful. Instead of seeing your sensitivity as a burden, realize that it is a compass that leads you to truth, to love, and to your true self. Sensitive people are not weak in life. They are candles that light up the darkness. And if you are one of them, remember, sensitivity is a strength, not a weakness. Part 3. Losing everything to find yourself again. There are times in life when we think we have it all. A stable job, a solid relationship, a future that is all mapped out and full of promise. But then, in an instant, everything disappears like sand slipping through our fingers. A job is suddenly lost, a relationship breaks up, plans that were once certain become the past. It feels like standing in an empty room, looking around and wondering, who am I when everything that once defined me is gone? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing but change, and change is the joy of nature." He did not write that sentence from a peaceful throne. He wrote it after he had buried the children he loved, after he had seen his empire erode, after he had experienced a pain that many could not bear. He understood that loss is not a punishment but life's way of reminding us to look at our core. Losing everything does not mean we are destroyed. On the contrary, it is like a tree in the middle of winter. On the outside, the branches are bare, dry, seemingly dead. But on the inside, the roots are quietly sucking life, preparing for a new spring. It is the same with people. Loss is just a winter in the journey, and deep in our souls, we are gathering strength to be reborn. I remember the day I lost the job I thought would be my lifelong career. Just a few days before, I was confident about the path I had chosen. But then, in one afternoon, it all came crashing down. At first, there was panic, then emptiness. I sat staring at the four walls, not knowing who I was without that title. But it was from that loss that I began to wonder. Without the old definitions, who can I choose again, rebuild, and become? Losing everything gives us a strange gift, freedom. When there is nothing left to cling to, we have everything to start over. When old roles are stripped away, we have the opportunity to choose a new role, to be our true selves. This is not to romanticize the pain. It still makes us cry, it still keeps us up at night. But if we look closely in each of those broken pieces, there is an invitation to become a new version, truer, stronger. Think about it, boss. The people who inspire us the most are not the ones who have lost nothing, but the ones who have lost almost everything, and then stood up, reborn from the ashes. Losing everything is not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter. If you find yourself in the emptiness today, remember, it's not a sign of failure. It's an opportunity to meet yourself again, not the version the world expects of you, but the person you really are. And from that seemingly crumbling foundation, you can build a new life, stronger and more meaningful than anything you've ever had before. Part 4. The Gift of Broken Dreams. Have you ever had a dream that you nurtured for years, only to have it suddenly disappear? Maybe it was a job you believed you would be with for life, a love that seemed like it would never end, or a life plan that you had drawn out in detail down to every step. And then, instead of succeeding as expected, it all fell apart. We sat in the rubble, wondering, what did I do wrong? Am I a failure? Epictetus, the philosopher who experienced slavery, left a reminder that changes the way we look at failure. Don't ask things to happen the way you want them to, expect them to happen the way they are. He doesn't teach us to give up on our dreams, but to be less attached to a single outcome. Because sometimes a broken dream isn't the end, but just an adjustment, a detour that takes us to a place that's more suitable for ourselves. Think of someone who spent 3 years working hard on a startup. They put all their energy, money, and passion into it. But then the project collapsed. Were those months in vain? No. Those 3 years trained them with skills, relationships, and a strong will that no school can teach. That failure was just the foundation for them to later build a more solid career. Or, imagine a broken relationship. Painful, empty, seemingly never to be able to love again. But through that wound, we learn to appreciate ourselves, know what we need in a companion, and are ready for a healthier love in the future. That broken dream, in fact, only makes room for a true dream waiting for us ahead. The ancients compared life to a river. When it encounters a rock blocking its path, the water does not stop. It squeezes past it, bends, and then continues to flow. The same is true of broken dreams. They do not interrupt our journey, but simply steer us in another direction, one that may be more beautiful, more open, even if we cannot see it right now. In fact, dreams that come true often teach us less than those that fail. Success makes us happy, but failure makes us mature. When one door closes, at first there's only darkness. But if we take a few more steps, we will realize that another door has opened, leading to a brighter path. So, if you are regretting an unfulfilled dream, don't be too quick to conclude that your life is a failure. See it as a clever arrangement of life to lead you to another dream, a dream that truly belongs to you. Because sometimes the old dream is broken, not because you are not worthy, but because you are worthy of something bigger, deeper. Remember, broken dreams are not pieces of glass that cut us, but mirrors that reflect the truth. We can stand up, look at ourselves, and move on. And when we do that, we will see clearly. Broken dreams are the greatest gifts because they give us the opportunity to grow, to start a new journey, and to find a dream that is truly worth living. Part 5. The Sacred in the Toughest Battles. We often think that when life gets tough, it means something is wrong. We rush to find a cure, a cover-up, or a way out as quickly as possible. Today's society teaches the same thing. If you're tired, take medicine. If you're lonely, go online to entertain yourself. If you're sad, go shopping to cover up. But boss, there's another, deeper perspective. The battles we're going through aren't life's faults. They're the most sacred part of being human. The Stoics called it amor fati, loving fate. Not just accepting, not just enduring, but actually loving all that comes, both the joys and the pains. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things that fate binds you to, and love the people that fate brings you to." That reminder is not easy to hear, especially when we are in the midst of suffering. But it is in suffering that we see the power of love over fate. I once sat next to a friend who was going through a divorce after more than 20 years of marriage. She was crying and apologizing for being so weak, for should have been stronger. I just held her hand and said, "No, these tears are not weakness, but proof that you are living true to your heart." It's heartbreaking that we've been taught to be ashamed of sadness, instead of respecting it as an essential part of growing up. Do you realize, boss, that it is the anxiety that makes us empathize with others who are struggling in silence? It is the depression that weighs on our chest that makes the joy that follows become so much deeper. It is the loss that tears our heart open to love more. These experiences are not punishments, but courses that are just for us. A certificate that no school can give. Think of the people who have left their mark on the world. Teachers, artists, leaders, healers. What they have in common is not that they have never failed, but that they have faced darkness, even wanted to give up many times. And it is those battles that give them depth to inspire, experience to lead, compassion to heal. What makes hardship sacred is that we get to decide what it means. Adversity can make us bitter or wise. It can close our hearts or open them. It can make us believe that life is unfair, or make us realize that we are all fighting our own battles and that empathy binds us together. Every challenge is an inner pilgrimage. When we emerge, we are no longer the same person. We are more mature, more determined, more thoughtful. The cracks in us become cracks that let light in. And from that we understand, the hardest battles are not a sign that we are on the wrong path, but proof that life is shaping us into something extraordinary. If you are facing a battle that seems overwhelming, remember, this is not a punishment. It is a divine invitation to embark on a journey of growth that no easy path can bring. Part 6. The courage to start over. There comes a time in life when we all have to face the reality that the life we are living is no longer suitable for us. Not because we have failed, nor because we have given up, but simply because we have outgrown the person we used to be. And at that point, there is only one choice: to start over. But as you can see, starting a new life at 20 or 25 may seem like an exciting adventure. But at 35, 45, or 50, starting over seems impossible. We have habits, responsibilities, and the judgmental eyes of others. And the biggest fear is not failure, but, do I dare to give up safety to step into the unknown? Seneca once wrote, "Life is long, if you know how to use it." He doesn't mean we need more years, but that we dare to live fully, dare to go toward what makes our hearts burn, even if it means giving up what is familiar. I know a woman in her 50s who used to be a successful lawyer with a high salary and a stable career. But one day, she decided to give it all up to become a primary school teacher. Outsiders thought she was crazy, giving up the peak for a modest salary. But for her, seeing the curious eyes of children every day and instilling in them the love of learning was true happiness. She was not running away from her old life, she was walking towards a life that was truly meant for her. Starting over does not mean erasing the past. On the contrary, everything we have experienced, both successes and failures, becomes the foundation for a new beginning. Skills, lessons, failures, all accumulate into baggage. We are not returning to the starting point. We are entering a new stage with more experience, more awareness. Boss, think about it. What is scarier, starting over and facing uncertainty, or getting to the end of your life realizing you never dared to live your truth? You may stumble, you may be doubted, you may be confused at times, but having the courage to start over means you are true to your heart, instead of living up to other people's expectations. Starting over is the courageous choice between living for the sake of it and living truly. It is daring to say, I don't know what the road ahead holds, but I know I can't stay here any longer. That decision, however small, changes destiny. If you are at the threshold of a new beginning, remember, you are not giving up, you are evolving. And sometimes starting over is not just an option, but a gift that life gives you to remind you. You have so much untapped potential. Live truly, live fully, starting today. As we complete this journey, we realize something profound. The Stoics never looked at life with a pessimistic eye. They did not consider themselves victims of fate, but students of life. Because every incident, every loss, every tear has a hidden lesson. Failure is not the end, but a secret classroom that only those brave enough to sit in. Epictetus once said, each of us is an actor in a play written by the author. We do not choose our roles, but we choose how we act. Maybe our role is someone who has experienced loss, betrayal, unemployment, or loneliness. But it is how we play the role, with strength, with compassion, with perseverance, that determines whether we become a common character or a legend. As the master could see, life does not promise to be easy for anyone. No one is exempt from suffering. But instead of asking, why me, the Stoics taught us to ask, what did I learn from this experience? It is that question that turns dark moments into torches. It turns cracks in the heart into cracks that let light in. Maybe today you feel like you've broken after a blow. But let me remind you, broken is not broken. Broken is opening, rebirth, making room for something new to come. If the heart has never been cracked, how can it ever receive the light of love, wisdom, and compassion? Let's look back at the journey. Our worst days reveal our strength. Our vulnerability gives us the ability to connect. Our losses lead us back to ourselves. Our broken dreams open new paths. Our challenges become our certificates of maturity. And starting over is our bravest act. When we put it all together, we see that adversity never comes to destroy us, but to shape us. The final message I want to leave you with is simple. I am not broken. I am broken to open up. Remember this as a commitment to yourself. Every time you stumble, every time you cry, repeat it. It will remind you that, in every situation, you still have a choice. To choose how to look, how to learn, and how to get up. And when we dare to rise from seemingly hopeless days, we not only save ourselves, we also become an inspiration to others, those who are silently enduring their own battles, needing to see proof that you can still get through it, you can still live on, and you can still love again. So if you're listening to this, please remember, you're not broken. You're just opening. And sometimes, opening is the only way for the heart to truly grow. If these words touch your heart, please don't just listen and ignore them. Please subscribe to the channel to build a community where we don't run away from difficulties, but learn to turn them into strength. Each of your registrations is not just a number, but a reminder that we are not alone on this journey. Here, each story, each lesson, each experience is a small flame that lights up the darkness for others. So click subscribe now, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any messages, and share this video with a friend who also needs to hear, you are not broken, you are just opening up to growth.